I'd like to call this meeting to order, Oconee County Council, December 4th. We're going to start with our public comment session as usual. Miss Sherry Bailey, please.
Okay. My name is Sherry Bailey, and you've heard from me before. I came in June with a petition with over 200 citizens of Oconee County. The petition was called Shade Today, and it sought to clarify the current laws concerning the care of dogs. After asking it to be mandated to give shade and bedding and flood-proof house to help through the harsh weather. Proposed and rejected, you sent it back, stating that it needed to clarify animals as dogs and to go through proper committees. I see that it has been revised right back to where we were. Shade has been completely taken out. Bedding has been turned into appropriate bedding. And fines changed in a way that does not discourage repeat offenders. For example, I found out that if an officer takes dogs from an abusive environment, that person can just go get another one again and again and again. We need I'm sorry, I have allergy bad, and I'm so nervous. We need fines that discourage repeat offending. This revised version does not provide the definitions needed to make clear what appropriate means. Clarity and understanding go hand in hand. Our current laws are vague and therefore they're problematic. Words like appropriate are subjective. And it's a problem without objective guidelines. Some of us just can't stand by and watch living creatures suffer and do nothing. Right now, there is an animal whose shelter is on a vertical hill, and I know that I shouldn't even call because they will tell me there's nothing they can do. Now, after reading this proposed version from Animal Control, I should say that they don't want to do anything about it. After the first reading in October, I was blindsided by Paul Kane, Julian Davis, and Animal Control. They obviously have no intentions to do anything different, and I've been met with resentment trying to make them to. I have an idea of what happened to change their minds from June to October, but I won't go into them right now. All I can say is that in June, they all gave me 2 thumbs up, and now they rejected it. And except to say that they rejected it they know that they rejected it for no sound reason, because no sound reason can be given for keeping laws vague, subjective, and delayed. I'm not going to lose heart. And I hope that those who have had the similar struggles with some council members will not lose heart either. One day all of us will be replaced. This issue will one day be resolved, and it will reflect the heart of the people of this community for life. Either you can be part of it now, or you can continue to use it as a reward and punishment for your own agenda. Shame on you if you do. Those I had, okay. I'm asking simply that you put back in the ordinance shade. I found out that even if, that all this effort is in vain, Animal Control has no intentions of providing shade for those dogs on Old Clemson Highway. He personally told me this. I thank you for voting according to your conscience and your service to our community. And this I would like to give to Mr. Kane because he apparently misplaced, didn't see all the documents that I handed them throughout the months. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Any council member comments?
Yes, ma'am. I want to thank you for all that you have done and shown in your leadership, for your concern for your district, for the people of Oconee County and the taxpayers. I want to thank you for your going above and beyond when you have your Thursday night meetings on Perry Hill with the people there. And like last night, you provided lunch or supper for the people at the Corinth Shiloh Fire Department. Your intellect will be greatly missed as a boat with only one oar. I'd like to remind you of how you covered my back on the Edwards Project Omega, not once but twice. And remember all the obstacles and roadblocks, log jams that were placed in your way for the Salem water by the obstructors. We are blessed to have you as for our community, your community service to this county, and wish you the best in your next life endeavors. Ms. Kamick, I call you a dear friend and a council member, a free thinker, committed to the taxpayers of Oconee County and not the special interest. Thank you.
Thank you. We still have another meeting this month. I'm not going away yet.
I'm just leading up to the finale.
Oh, are you done with your comments, or?
No, since I'm on a roll, I'll just go ahead. For you people that's asking about about the new administrator's position and all the taxpayers' money that was spent for interviews, all the time spent by the council and the county employees and the county residents for the interview. Well, I've got an answer from one of them that said, we didn't get the cream of the crop. Well, I've looked at the roster of the people that we have had here for the administrator, and I'll just ask you, did we ever have the cream of the crop? Next was Mr. Blankenship. He was a veteran, and some reason that's against him because he pledged to honor both the God and country. And evidently we don't want that in anyone. I also heard he didn't have enough experience. And Mr. Martin here, he's been at this position for 7 months, come from the rock quarry. And Ms. Kamick says that he's the best administrator she's worked with, that when he tells her something, she can believe it to be the truth. So the one that we're looking for, as long as he has the schooling and the qualifications, if he can write 5 contracts in one day to one entity, he qualifies. At least it's got to be for $188,000. And that's all I have to say.
Okay. Any other council member comments? Well, I have some comments I'd like to make. I'd like to comment on the so-called revised animal ordinance, a copy of which I received recently. I don't understand how you were not embarrassed to send this to me, since pretty much everything we requested was deleted out, including our penalties. No penalties, no deterrent. This ordinance was weak to begin with. Now it's completely useless. When I first joined council in 2015, we had a meeting with our state delegation. In that meeting, I referenced a document that showed South Carolina ranked low on the national scale for animal welfare based on the strength of animal protection laws. We're currently in 35th place. Representative Sandifer referred me to Gene Hogan, who's the research director for agricultural and natural resources for the South Carolina Senate. He explained to me that they assembled a committee to revise the state animal regulations. Members of the committee included Senator Vincent Shaheen as the chairman, Representative Steve Moss, Marley Drum, City of Cola Animal Services Superintendent, Patricia Hill, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine, South Carolina Association of Veterinarians, Kim Kelly, Humane Society U.S. South Carolina Director, Tim Lunam, another veterinarian, Grace Animal Hospital Clinical Director, Barbara Nelson, SPCA, Josh Rhodes, South Carolina Association of Counties Staff Attorney, Patty Van Sicklin, American Kennel Club, Clint Leach, South Carolina Department of Agriculture, Assistant Commissioner, and Rebecca Leach, South Carolina Department of LLR, Director of Business and Government Affairs. That group created the Animal Welfare Committee, Subcommittee for South Carolina. Mr. Hogan provided me with meeting announcements and minutes as they spent a year discussing the changes. Once the committee completed their draft, they held several public hearings and accepted written input. I provided their document to my constituents who were interested, and once I compiled their input, we submitted a letter chiming in. Based on the public hearings and input, the committee revised the document and presented it to the legislators who have yet to vote on it. June 19th, yes, Ms. Bailey addressed council for the first time regarding the need to amend our existing animal ordinance. Ms. Bailey provided a handout of an ordinance from York County, one page, simple, discussing provisions for shade, food, water, and tethering as an example of what she and her acquaintances wanted council to do. She also provided a signed petition. Subsequently, August 21st, Ms. Bailey addressed council again utilizing a handout. That document was drafted after I met with her and provided her and her acquaintances the proposed changes to the state animal ordinance that were drafted by members of the South Carolina Pet Care and Humane Treatment Study Committee. Some of the provisions deleted in our current recent revised ordinance are provisions that are destined to become state law. It's bad enough our legislators are dragging their feet. I see no reason for us to do the same. We managed to drag this out since June with Mr. Kane's pettiness. It didn't go through the proper channels. Yet it went to the sheriff and animal control. I would argue they are the proper channel. When you sent it back to the same people who looked at it in the first place. Everyone was on board to begin with, until, as usual, the fix was in. Then the ordinance was gutted, but you are still being hailed as the champion of Oconee County's neglected and abused animals. I caution my students about plagiarism, taking credits for others' intellectual property. You're taking credit for something you contributed absolutely nothing to. I don't know how that doesn't embarrass you. Animal control receives incessant complaints about animals tethered on blacktop driveways in 96-degree heat with no access to shade, food, or water. My freshman biology students can explain that all animals maintain homeostasis of their body temperature and that dogs produce sweat only on areas not covered with fur. It becomes very difficult for them to deal with excessive heat. Why animal control would reject the shade provisions is beyond my comprehension. The specific provisions that the tether be a minimum of 10 feet in length and not exceed 1/8 the body weight, the need for food, shelter, and water came straight out of the state document. Delaying the implementation is simply delaying the inevitable and will no doubt keep us at 35th place. Come January, this is not going to be my problem anymore. But if we consider Oconee a great place to live, then we need to adopt stricter animal control regulations.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
on a much lighter, friendlier note, I would like to welcome members of the Hispanic community here tonight. I'm really glad to see you. And for those of you who don't realize, Spanish is coming to this country. You go in Lowe's, Home Depot, ellos clavos. English, Spanish is coming. These people here tonight are all prominent leaders, not citizens, but leaders in the community. One of them I've known since West Union Hardwood, who owns sizable land, shopping centers, buildings, and businesses. We need to recognize these people and be glad that they live in our community, because they are really contributing. And I thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to set the record straight once and for all. There's been many falsehoods and lies told in this chamber, which is a shame. But I met with Ms. Bailey on May 25th, 2018, and at that time, I suggested to her if she would like to see an animal ordinance, welfare ordinance passed, the proper way to get it done is to run that through the Public Safety and Law Enforcement Committee. That's the way that we typically change our ordinances. It go, you know, the Planning Commission will review changes to a planning ordinance. The Public Safety and Law Enforcement does it there. Unfortunately, she did not listen to my advice, and so we referred it back to Public Safety and Law Enforcement after it was incorrectly attempted to be brought directly before the council. I do not sit on that committee, but I am in support of animal welfare, and I don't know why there's all these personal attacks on me.
Can I answer it?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
I will answer it. No, I will answer that.
Ma'am,
Because you're getting so hung up on procedure that we're not getting this done. This has been sitting out there since June. You declared in one of our meetings that you knew nothing of this, when in fact you've received document after document after document. Okay, yes, if you don't read your documents, then you won't have an
I'd read my
understanding.
documents. Thank you very much. My point is, it was stated that it went through the proper channels. The proper channels for an ordinance to become law in Oconee County is it oftentimes needs to go through a committee. That's the point. We have committees for efficiency of process. Not so someone, a layperson, can draft an ordinance and then tell us to pass it. That's not
It
proper.
wasn't drafted by a layperson. It was drafted by your attorney with the help of Officer Lyles and Deputy Honia. Now, tell me that is not the proper channel.
What,
Without their cooperation, there is no animal
who
ordinance.
directed the county attorney to draft that ordinance?
I've requested, I didn't direct, I asked.
Okay, you can do government however you like in your future, but in my opinion, we need to maintain law and order and a proper procedure. And that is my opinion.
That's
Other
fine.
people may
So how
think.
many years, while we're waiting for you to go through your proper procedures, how many years are you willing to sit on this? Because so far, you've sat on this since June.
Again, I don't sit on that committee. I did not recommend the changes that are in the current proposed ordinance, but based on the input from law enforcement, animal control officers, and this council, that's the changes that are before us. That's not to say that it can't be amended, but that's the proper thing that should be done, is it should go through the proper procedures.
It went through the sheriff and animal control, and before everyone started vilifying this, all of them were on board, okay? And once everything turned negative, then nobody was on board. Now, how does that advance the cause of protecting animals in this county? It doesn't.
So we
Okay.
should just pass, so why did it become negative?
You tell me.
I have no idea why it became negative. I've certainly dealt with the business end of that negativity, and I don't appreciate it because it's not honest discourse. But I do believe in the process, and that's what this country is all about. It's a nation of laws and process, and that is what separates us from dictatorships and other forms of government that I'm happy I'm not a part of. So I'm glad we're going through the process finally the correct way.
Anybody else have anything to say? Okay, so on that note, a moment of silence. Thank you. Mr. Root, please.
Pray with me if you'd like to. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this meeting. Thank you that we can have honest differences of opinion and have those resolved through a deliberative process that's like no other in the world. And we are grateful for it. We're grateful for all your many blessings as we enter into this time, this particular season. Friends, and focus on what is truly love, of goodwill toward our neighbor to really envelop us and be what guides us in this meeting and in all of our activities.
Amen.
Mr. King, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We need to approve two sets of minutes, November 15th special minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Any changes or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
And the regular minutes of November 20th.
So moved.
Second.
Any changes or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Martin?
All right, administrative report for December the 4th, 2018. Tonight we have a public hearing and third reading for the following. Ordinance 2018-14, amending Chapter 32 regarding the naming of subdivisions. Ordinance 2018-32, establishing a multi-county business park with Pickens County. Ordinance 2018-33, authorizing a fee in lieu of tax agreement on behalf of Project ECHO. In action items tonight, we have the approval for PRT's local ATAX grant for $25,000, and discussion of a letter of support from Council for AIDS Upstate, the American Dream Literacy Initiative, $10,000 grant from Dollar General. We have two items from our solid waste department. The first one being a redesign by Smith Gardner for DHEC permits to expand the C&D landfill. And this would include all engineering, operational, and post-closure plans in the amount of $119,215.05. They have applied and received a grant from the Pete and Sally Smith Fund in the amount of $50,000 to begin the construction on an educational activity building for elementary school tours. Funds from Duke Power Energy yearly grant and future DHEC grants would cover the cost of the completion of this building. And in executive session tonight, we need to discuss and have received legal actions on a contractual matter related to the Sewer South transfer and operational agreement with the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority, to receive legal advice and discuss a contractual matter related to purchasing property adjoining the quarry, and discussion regarding economic developments project Aztec and project POP. And with that, we'll be finished.
Okay, very good. We have three public hearings tonight. No one signed up for either of them. Ordinance 2018-14, public hearing, an ordinance amending Article 6 of Chapter 32 of the Oconee County Codes.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
Okay, before we open up that, public hearing formally, just to be clear on the backup, this is the ordinance that Mr. Hart, made an amendment on that was approved by council last time we discussed it. It strikes out in attachment A, subparagraph B, the accuracy of plats and attendant data shall be no less than that required in said manual for Class B suburban land surveys. That was behind the letter from the planning commission when they said, yeah, it's a good amendment, but it's not behind the ordinance in the backup materials. Just making it clear, that's how the ordinance will read. That amendment was included, it just doesn't follow kind of logically from what was published.
okay. Well, no one signed up. Anyone wish to speak on this now? Written comments can be given to our clerk. So with that, I'll close the public hearing on 2018-14. 2018-32, an ordinance to develop a jointly owned and operated industrial business park in conjunction with Pickens County. No one signed up for that either. Anybody wish to speak on this topic now? Written comments to our clerk. With that, I'll close 2018-32. 2018-33, an ordinance authorizing a fee in lieu of tax agreement on behalf of Project Echo. No one signed up for that either. Anybody wish to speak on Project Echo at this point? Written comments to our clerk. So with that, we'll close all three public hearings. Third reading on 2018-14.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2018-32.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And 2018-33.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have no second readings today, no first readings today, no first and final readings of resolutions tonight. We do have some action items. Oconee County PRT, local ATUX, $25,000.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Discussion and consideration of a request by Aid Upstate that council provide letters of support to continue the provision of housing opportunities for persons with AIDS eligible services.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
10,000 FY18 Dollar General, the American Dream Literacy Initiative grant application submission.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on this one?
Yes, ma'am, I'd like to, bring up just, how important this grant is. And it's not just for Hispanic people, it's for everybody. Quick example, I was in a grocery store this summer. This old lady and her little granddaughter's about 5, 6 years old, somewhere along there. And they were at the cash register, and the little girl was pointing to the grandmama what money to put on the counter. And grandmama run out of money, sure enough. She had a big old eggplant she wanted to buy. So I told the cashier, I said, look here, I'll pay for it. And so the grandmama looked at me real confused like, so I told the grandmama in Spanish, no problem, this is for you. The little girl rolls her eyes, looks at me, she says, grandmama doesn't speak Spanish. She was an Indian from the mountains of Mexico, and she doesn't speak, it sounds like Spanish, but believe you me, it's not. And that's how important this grant is. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Engineering services for piggyback landfill pre-design work plan and preparing permit application package. Solid waste, $119,215.05.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on this?
There were 6 Ps in that title, by the way.
I know, it was like a tongue twister.
Can we say it together?
Piggyback landfill. Any other comments on this? Okay then, all in favor?
Aye.
Solid Waste Education Facility Grant. $120,000.
Motion approved.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any unfinished business? Any new? Okay, on that note, let's recess to executive session. Number 1, to receive legal advice and discuss the contractual matter regarding the Sewer South transfer and operation agreement with the Oconee Joint Regional Sewer Authority. Number 2, to receive legal advice and discuss a contractual matter related to property acquisition adjoining the Oconee County Rock Quarry. Number 3, discussion regarding an economic development matter project Aztec. And number 4, discussion regarding an economic development matter project POP.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Me.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
No action was taken in executive session. There are two items we do need to address.
Yes, Madam Chair, in order, from the executive session items, first in relation to the rock quarry, we need a motion to direct staff to continue and to refine negotiations for the purchase of the property adjacent to the rock quarry and report back to county council.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chair, in relation to Economic Development Project Aztec, we need a motion to direct staff to negotiate the purchase sale agreement and the incentive agreements and bring those back to council for review and approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.